National Institute for Public Administration, NEPA. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Let's get straight to it, and that's because sometimes we, as a people, can take a lot of these matters for granted, democracy for granted, and yet we've seen damage that is caused when the opposite is true. With the summit being underway, how much of a reminder is this about the need to do whatever can be done to protect democracy? Let me start with you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Franklin. I think by virtue of the fact that we can accommodate the idea of hosting such a summit, co-hosting.
How or what would you like to see about from among people to manage the process? How well do you think, as a people, managing the process is being handled? How much can be done? Would you like to see?
Well, there are a lot of things that people expect during an election, and it depends on a particular jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions have no problem on how they come about having a leadership,
Right.
because it is their culture. Democracy in Africa is not an old phenomenon, especially the Western type of democracy. We have had in the past our own form of democracy where we were able to come up with our leaders in terms of chiefs and or other kings, and that meant that only the few group of people, like elders in a particular tribe, would represent to go and come up with a king. But today we are exposed to this new form of democracy where the majority have to be involved. Then it means that the large majority of the community must be educated on the elements of this particular new form of democracy. So the challenge that now we face as African democracies is that of having so many citizens not being well informed about democracy. This explains why countries like China, whose large population is very much behind in terms of the knowledge of democracy, have resorted to go inwards. Not they practice democracy, but it's inward democracy, and they have defined their own form of democracy, and they wish at one point to go for Western type of democracy when the population is fully informed. This is why we are saying the USA, the British, for example, are doing so well where democracy is concerned because the entire population is well educated and informed.
Right.
And I think India has also done the same. That's why it is the largest democracy in the world. So in Africa, I think that's what we need to do. Have masses be educated, and then they'll be able to express themselves fully, able to know what they're doing, even without resorting to violence.
Right.
At present, the interest is just about having somebody in power.
Right.
How that person assumes office is by whatever means that works.
Isn't that the challenge then to bodies, excuse me, like the Electoral Commission of Zambia, NGOs that pride themselves as champions of democracy, to not go, to not knock off, to use this quiet period to do what you're saying, to educate people. It appears only during elections. Now people can choose to listen or not to listen, but the elections must take place. What they would you like to see?
Yeah, so this is what happens in a parochial society like the Zambian society. We have people in the majority that participate in elections periodically, and they do not mind what happens thereafter as long as they have done their part. Of course, like the large part of the Zambian political system begins with voter registration, campaigns, and voting. After voting and results are out, everyone minds their own business. As a result, even the Electoral Commission goes to sleep. There is not much follow-up education that goes. There's not much evaluation. So there's not much education on, especially the newly the registered voters, those that would be voters in future. There is not much follow-up in terms of educating the people, and this explains why there's need to include in our maybe curriculum basics of political science and law, so that citizens, as they grow up, they are fully aware of their rights, they're fully
just said the